What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1.
And once again, we're here to answer your questions in another installment of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. You had a little delay in the beginning there, I noticed.
It was a slight delay. I was reconfiguring my
Beak.
There you go.
This question comes from Matt B. He asks, what if an orc got pregnant? So first, let's talk about the life cycle of an orc. Are there female orcs? No, there isn't. At least not in 40K. I don't know about Age of Sigmar. So orcs reproduce by releasing spores. Usually when an orc dies, a bunch of like mushroom spores shoot out, and then they land, and then those spores will then grow into some type of orcoid. Doesn't necessarily have to be an orc.
Could be a Gretchen, a squig. What are those tadpole-looking things?
A hair squig.
Yeah.
So there is no like sense of pregnancy or anything like that. It's just like does that mean that all orcs are just a copy of the previous one?
I guess so. Well,
but then so are we, right?
Yeah. It's all the same DNA, I guess. Because orcs aren't animal nor plant.
No, they're like considered lichen.
And not the werewolf.
Right, no. The actual, what is it, like a moss?
It's like a moss fungus type thing.
Yeah. But what could happen is spores can go inside of a body, and then, like, let's say a sister of battle inhales some spores, and somehow it gets into her belly, because, you know, your respiratory system is connected to your reproductive system. Science, you know?
Yeah.
And then the sister of battle gets, like, all bloated within a matter of, like, days. Maybe even
quick.
hours.
Yeah.
And then, because what is it called? The gestation period of the spore to whatever orcoid it is really quick. And then, like, just like in Xenomorph, like a little Gretchen will pop out of the Sisters of Battle's stomach.
That's cool. You didn't say alien. You said Xenomorph, because this is 40K.
40K. But yeah, so that could happen. And that's the struggle that the Imperium has with orcs, is that if you kill one orc, he releases so many spores that by, like, the end of the week, an entire, like, unit will be ready to assault you off of killing one orc.
Yeah. And obviously orc walls are a green tide, so you're essentially populating the orc every time you kill him.
Yep, which is why I think Exterminatus is really the only true response to a planet invaded by...
Aren't the fungus spores that are released by an orc, like they could survive like harsh temperatures? So if you do blow up a planet, eventually, if the spores aren't completely wiped out, they could still land somewhere or get sucked into like a ship or something, or fly through space and then find a habitable planet, and then they start populating there.
Yeah, the Imperium has actually found asteroids with zero atmosphere, like they're just like rocks, barren rocks out in space, and they have orcs in them, which is crazy, like how they can survive in those extreme environments. And then you also reminded me of something. Oh, even so, like, let's say like the entire planet gets completely wiped out. The best bet is that if there are spores, which there will be, that are left over from the virus bomb or whatever it may be, you're going to have these new orcs become feral orcs because the tribe is gone. You basically killed the majority of the threat, and now you just have these beasts that are really like, they're just a nuisance. And then the Imperium like puts some type of boundary around them, and then they try to, like, what is it called?
Quarantine them?
Yeah, basically. What's happening to us?
Yeah, it's like, wear your masks, orcs.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa! Just like us.
Yeah, just like us.
Oh, and trust me, I've had enough of that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, it's a piece of cloth. Come on, guys.
Yeah, well, now they want you to wear two.
That's true.
Yeah.
How many do orcs wear? Because they got, like, bigger maws, right?
They do, yeah. They probably wear, like, 5.
Yeah, because they got big maws, but even bigger paws.
Exactly. And then there is also... so, like, right now on Armageddon, because, you know, that was a thing back then. Armageddon right now, the equatorial jungle is just covered with a bunch of feral orcs. And the big danger is that they will like just what is it called, like reinforce the ongoing wars, or they have been, I guess.
Right. They're like ants. It's like there's no they blanket all these planets, and there's just so many of them that it's really hard to make a dent in that.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like great leaders such as Gaskell and all the other boys. Well, they're not boys, but
They're men.
Men.
Boys to men.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so can an orc get pregnant? No.
No. Because just like fungus, they are essentially the reproductive organ, fighting.
Yeah. An orc is just basically a giant penis.
Yeah.
I've also gotten the question of why do they wear pants then? For fun.
Yeah. T-shirt save.
Yeah. Next question.
This one is by Frost Alonzo. Loyalist Astartes view corrupted Space Marines as traitors. But what do the corrupted Astartes view the Loyalist Space Marines as? Traitors.
So they see them as worshiping the false emperor. Because I think they're onto something. I think Chaos Space Marines understand that there is something manifesting in the warp, which is the emperor. So what would he be considered? Because it's not the god of order, because order is chaos. But he's like the god of the light or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that they know that came from Lorgar creating the Lectitio Divinatis.
Right, the Imperial Truth.
Yeah, and crushing the Imperial Truth and all that kind of stuff. So I think they're onto something. I think Chaos Space Marines see the regular Space Marines and think like, oh, if only you knew.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And maybe some of them do know, aka the Alpha Legion.
Yeah.
And then that puts because lately I bought like the Dark Angels Codex, the new one, and I've been like going into the lore, and it's like, yeah, the Dark Angels are hunting the Fallen, essentially the rebels. But what if it's the other way around? What if the Fallen are actually the quote unquote loyalists or the good guys, and the regular Dark Angels that we all know, they're the bad guys? Because when you look at like the Inner Circle and all their secrets and whatnot, and then you look at the whole lore with Luther, it's like, who really was the bad guy? Who is the good guy?
Yeah, and if GW ever wants to progress that story, it would be a really good situation of twisting everything, because you do have this group of Astartes who are the loyalists who want to maintain the status quo,
right?
And then you have these rebels that specifically like the Fallen and the Alpha Legion. I wouldn't say that like the Plague Marines or Noise Marines. Those are corrupted.
Yeah.
But you have these guys who are like trying to say like, no, there is something manifesting in the warp. We need to like help the Emperor.
And then look at Cypher. Like he plays on both sides. So it's like he's doing what needs to be done in order to get his plans in motion.
Yeah.
Whatever they may be.
Yeah. Just like in the Marvel movie with like, because I always go back to that whole concept of like they knew that people had to die in order for this to like end up the way that it is. Yeah. But good question. Did we answer his question?
What do they see Loyalist Marines at? Yeah.
This question comes from Demtex. To both, do you like your food tasty or taco?
What? Tasty or taco?
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
I guess I'll prefer it tasty. Because not all tacos are good, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. That's a weird question. And then he has a second one. He says, who is the richest person in 40K besides the Emperor? That's a tough one.
Right. Because you could see riches as a lot of things. It's just literally who has the most money, who has the most like influence. Because you could be dirt poor, but if you know people in high places, essentially you're untouchable. Yeah.
So if you want to do monetary, like thrones, which is what the currency is in the Imperium, then obviously one of the High Lords of Terra.
Yeah.
But if you want to do influence, then obviously the High Lords of Terra as well. I think
planetary governors shouldn't be like overlooked either.
Yeah, but they would be powerful for their planet.
Right.
Because like when a planetary governor is talking to like a High Lord can manifest a crusade or set a crusade. whereas like the planetary governor is just a governor of the planet.
Right. Best you can do is maybe ally with the Xenos.
Right. Yeah.
Which that actually did happen with the Tau during the Damocles Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they usually don't survive.
No.
It's like send Imperial assassins to kill the governor and then systematically tear apart the whole world.
Yeah, and then you also have to look at like the other races because you can't ignore the Eldar and the influence that the Eldar have. They have way more knowledge, and knowledge is power in 40K. At the same time, because 40K is supposed to be nothing but war, we have to look at what individual has the most war capacity, I guess you could say. And again, I think it would be like the Eldar. I think the Eldar have gotten to the point now where like they know how to strike and get out. They're not gonna try to like kill all of their people in order to win a planet. I think they are more intelligent in the field of war.
Right, considering everything that they've gone through, and they're one of the oldest races, yeah. But at the same time, look at the Orks. All they know is war.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they keep on fighting, and like you said earlier, all they do is repopulate by every death, it's like, there's no winning.
Or maybe in the Xeno field, what's the the ethereal that died?
Aun-Va?
Yeah, Aun-Va might have been like the best, because if you think about it, Aun-Va controlled the entire Tau Empire.
Right.
Whereas like there's no one person that controls the entirety of the Imperial army, other than the Emperor, like you said.
Or Gilliman, I guess. But then the custodies act independently and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's true. He has his own limits, whereas Aun-Va did not.
Right. He was essentially the face of the Tau, and the Tau also spreads to other allying Xeno races.
Yeah. So
a way to put it is that Aun-Va is currently dead, and he is such an important face to the progression of the greater good that the ethereals in power have made holograms of him to keep his image alive, to calm the masses and keep their ideologies going.
That's how much influence he had.
Right, that even if you're dead, you can't be dead. Like, you have to stay alive.
That's what you need to strive to be like in your real life. You need to make it so that even when you're dead, people don't want you to be dead.
Like Michael Jackson.
Just like Michael Jackson. Or Elvis.
That's true.
Or, yeah, I guess that's it. Next question.
This one is by Brandon Barnett. Why is it that the Sisters of Silence take a literal vow of silence? How dumb is that? I get that they silence the warp and whatnot, but tactically, it's unsound to vow to never speak. When in a combat situation, it's very likely that you have to yell out a warning and tactics, etc.
I think it's supposed to show two things. Number one, that the Sisters of Silence are blanks. And Sisters of Silence, if you're a blank, so if you're a null, you naturally give off this like nasty feeling because there is no warp presence inside of you. You know how like you meet that one random guy at the hobby store that just gives you a bad vibe, like he's gonna steal your minis when you're not looking. That's basically what the Sisters of Silence are. But except it's an army of them. And also it showcases the devotion that they have to their emperor.
That no matter what happens to them, that they will not break their vow. That's how much they believe in the emperor and honor him.
Which you see in today, or in the real world, when like monks decide to do all their little like rituals and stuff of like sitting there and not moving.
Fasting is a way too.
Yeah. Within like the Catholic Church, like the priests are not supposed to get married.
I was gonna say that's the whole Ash Wednesday and Fat Tuesday and
that. You're not supposed to eat meat. But yeah, so goofy things like that happen in religion all the time, and that's what the Sisters of Silence are. The only addition is that they can also kill you with bolters.
Right.
Do they have bolters?
Yeah. Who doesn't have a bolter?
Yeah. Well,
that's true. Nuno Barros. Hi, guys. Question. It's Nuno from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Considering that the custodies have been with the emperor since the unification, serving not only as bodyguards, but also as advisors and confidants, how is it that they allowed their master's imperium to end up as a total totalitarian theological government based on ignorance and oppression, instead of what the emperor originally planned?
Because their role is to protect the emperor. That's it.
True, yeah.
They're just bodyguards.
It doesn't matter what the imperium is doing as long as the emperor is, I say alive, but he's like kind of in a half-dead state. Because no matter what, once the emperor comes back, whether it's through resurrection or he gets healed up, he's going to see the imperium for what it is, and he's going to know exactly how to fix it. It is not their place to act as the emperor's tongue and hand in a way. Because it's like they're not going to speak for him and they're not going to act for him. It's like that's the emperor's design, and anything against that is heresy.
Yeah, to put it into perspective for the real world, you're basically asking, like, why, like, if a president dies, why doesn't the Secret Service continue their agenda?
Right.
And it's just like, well, because they're Secret Service. Like, their role is nothing political, whereas the emperor's was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he was also out on the front lines, too.
He was, yeah. He was also fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, ever since George Washington, they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Peter Heinzo says, bread pudding looks like vomit, but it's surprisingly delicious. Kind of like a huge baked pancake. Best with a ton of vanilla sauce and preserved cherries. You know what that reminds me of in like right now during Lent? I think it's during Lent. We have a thing called capirotada,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically just soggy bread with different sweets.
Yeah.
And I think they do throw in vanilla sauce and cherries.
Mm-hmm.
And then sprinkles. I remember sprinkles.
Yeah, there's sprinkles on there, too.
I particularly don't like it just because it's not because it's moist. I like the moistness of it, but milk does things to my stomach, and it has a lot of dairy. Just like what's that other one? Tres leches.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Milky cake? No, it's like I'll drink milk on the side, not on my cake.
I like to take the milk, pour it on my cake, and then smash my face into it, just like Matilda. I think I'm remembering that wrong. Never mind. Next question.
This one's by Valletta Petra Sinerian. It's been a while since I've asked, so here I go. Since someone asked about the Inquisition, if you guys were an Inquisitor, which ordo would you be in?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think we answered that last week, didn't we?
If it wasn't last week, it might have been the week before. But I said it was the Ordo Hereticus, 'cause hunting demons and witches sound pretty fun.
Yeah.
Scary, but very fun.
And I said the Ordo Cronus because I like the concept of time.
Mm-hmm.
I like to just sit, like right before I go to sleep, I like to just sit and think about time and what it would be like if we didn't evolve to perceive time, and like if we were timeless.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start thinking about the fourth dimension and how the fourth dimension is not time, it's something else. And I try to visualize that.
And didn't NASA confirm that there's a parallel universe where time travels backwards?
Yeah.
So doesn't that like infer that there is a start and an end? Because how can something go backwards with no end in sight? I don't know.
No, because like it would be based on our perception. So it's not based on reality, right? Because like even us seeing things, like that color is the color that our mind perceives it, but
Right.
something could have evolved to look at it differently. Just like is it bats?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Sonar, echolocation.
kind of like that, yeah. Or is because I think there are some animals that perceive the or their visual what is it called, spectrum?
The infrareds. Like,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, like that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Like they can see in infrared, they can see things that we can't.
I see in gamma radiation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's an actual creature that does that, but yeah.
Guinea pigs do.
Really?
Mhm.
Ew. I'm not buying a guinea pig anymore. That's the Hulk. What were we talking about?
Time.
Oh yeah, so just
Yeah, chronomancy.
yeah. So I would want to. That's what I would want to study.
Guinea pigs.
Guinea pigs and their perception of time. Next question.
This one's by Tim the Classic One. Can Star Trek beat 40K? And then he says, spoilers, yes.
No.
I don't think so.
Not a chance.
I mean, I think I don't know enough about Star Trek. Like, growing up, I don't know why I always told myself, it's like, you either watch Star Trek or you watch Star Wars. And I watch Star Wars.
Good choice. I think Star Wars, it has that fantasy element that is like a scapegoat. Whereas like Star Trek, I think they do try to throw in like as much science as possible.
You saw the movies with like Chris Pine and stuff. How are those?
They're really good. But it also shows that like, I don't know what it's called. But the organization that is like humanity and like the other ones is small compared to the Imperium of Man. So like the Imperium of Man alone could destroy the Star Trek group. I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
Enlighten us with your lore on the Treks.
And this is going to be the last question by just some Bigfoot with internet access. At full strength, how well do you think the Tanith First and Only would do in a fight with the Sisters of Battle on foot with no vehicles, just infantry and their equipment? Because the Tanith First and Only has plot armor, because they're a named regiment, I feel like they would do pretty well. But at the end of the day, you have a bolter versus a lasgun.
Right. And at the same time, you said Sisters of Battle. I assume you're talking about like equal numbers, but if you're talking about like all the orders of the sisters, obviously, numbers beats out.
Right, yep. And just watch that trailer for the Indomitus box set.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Sisters of Battle can regenerate stuff.
All they got to do is believe.
Believe.
And have a Rosarius on you.
There you go, yes. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, or if we didn't get to your question, ask again. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Mm-hmm. As always, I've been the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And my beak is in a comfortable position now. Out.
Oh, if you could put my freedom